Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Thought Leadership Thursday. On Thought Leadership Thursdays, I bring on leaders from their respective fields to share their thoughts and leadership style. Hopefully, these would jumpstart the creative juices in you, disrupt how you work, and hopefully hack your growth. I know we need as much tips as we can use these days to transform our growth during hard times like these. So join me today and listen to these wonderful thought leaders. Let's welcome Scott Baker and Cody Baxter from Fifth Generation Bakers. Scott, tell us, what does Fifth Generation Bakers do?
Well, thanks for having us, Lynn. We appreciate the opportunity to talk to you today and get to know your fans a little bit. Five Generation Bakers, as the name suggests, I'm the fifth generation of my family in the business. We're the manufacturers of Jenny Lee's cinnamon swirl bread. We make some other fine products as well. We're in about 30 states with our products in the bakery department: cinnamon swirl breads, chunky breads, sticky buns. And then we are co-packers for other bakeries. We produce pizza dough balls and poopy pies and some other great dessert items.
So, Cody, what is the distribution? Is it direct to store or is it branded products for you?
Mostly, so we supply distributors, and then distributors sell our products to the retailers.
Great.
We also have a pretty substantial online direct-to-consumer business as well.
Neat. And what is your latest digital campaign on?
Yeah, so we...
It was really interesting. That's why I wanted you guys to talk about it.
With everything going on with food shortages and unemployment, everything related to COVID-19, we wanted to do something to help. So we came up with this program where we would ship 4 loaves of bread anywhere in the country for free, as long as the consumer paid the shipping.
Oh, okay.
We have donated over 6,500 loaves of bread, so
wow.
It is a pretty successful campaign.
Great job, guys. Great job. So that's another story I want to tell, is Sergio's story. Sergio, tell us, what does your company do in South Africa?
All the way out here. Thanks, Lynn, for having us and allowing us the opportunity to show you guys what we're doing. I represent Pie in the Sky Bakery, as you saw in the video that I'll share sometime, that we're a family-run business, second generation now, and we produce quite a wide range of bakery products, from artisan breads to rolls to croissants and Danish pastries, as well as puff pastry products and other small confectionery items. So COVID-19 has hit us tremendously badly over here.
And that's because most of your business is to institutions like restaurants?
Correct, yeah. So, if I go through all the, our entire client base, you'll very quickly pick up that COVID-19's had a drastic impact on our business. So some of our big clients are airliners, national distributors, restaurants, fast food chains. So these are all industries that have been directly impacted with COVID-19. And with the lockdown being so stringent and so heavy here in South Africa, the economy is really becoming the big issue now, not really COVID-19. So the initiative that we've started is something called Need and Rise, and we are actually just about to launch it officially tomorrow. And what this is that, we're really going out to the public to say, guys, we've got the resources, we've got the technology to assist in these times of needs. So essentially, the 2 main objectives with this initiative is, number one, to keep all of our employees working and safe, and so that they can continue to provide for their families and their communities. The second main objective is, by doing this, by keeping us working, by keeping us active, we are able to with the assistance of NGOs and NPOs and some government agencies, to actually make a meaningful change and get food out there to the thousands of unemployed and hungry that we have now as a result of COVID-19. And, you know, just for over the last 2 to 3 weeks, it might seem a small number, but we've been able to donate over 35,000 bread buns to various NGOs and NPOs and soup kitchens that have really made a difference, and a material difference. So, you know, we're really going out there to utilize the resources that we do have, keeping our staff employed, but at the same time providing thousands of roles to the needy and the hungry that have been so badly affected by COVID-19.
That's amazing. So you probably pivoted to that because of the need to. And
Correct. Yeah.
That's some tough and challenging times, especially when you provide to the restaurant industry. Scott, have you done any major pivots in your business yourself? Oh, Scott, you're muted.
Sorry about that. Yeah, we have really ramped up our efforts in R&D and new product development. We supply a lot of schools and restaurants, so we were pretty hit, like most businesses, with the pandemic. We found our customers asking for different products that we didn't make, white breads, staple items. So we did develop a few of those to help in short-term needs. You know, we've also been faced with trying to keep our people working, and we've been very fortunate that through last week we were able to do that with projects that Cody created, with helping our customers out with new items. But last week we finally felt the effects and had to furlough for a week. And our plan moving forward is to furlough a week, come back and produce for a week, furlough a week. And our management team is really taking those weeks of no production. We're working harder than when we are producing to come up with new product lines and new ways to get back into the market. So, you know, our pivot has really been to expand our offerings, to develop new items, so that when we're back in business and the pandemic's behind us, there's just new opportunity for us.
Yeah, that's really tough, you know. So today I have really brought on tech advisors, Chris Leon. Say hi, Chris.
Hi, Chris.
And Howard from Web Strategies, and Kurt Sussman,
Hello,
who is our technical advisor. I brought these guys on because I feel like we could give bakers like yourself more help on the digital side of things. So Chris and Howard, you know, why don't you jump in and tell us a little bit more about Web Strategies and what you can do?
Absolutely, we'd be happy to. Thanks so much, Lynn, for having us on. So Web Strategies is a digital marketing company that really focuses on mid to bottom funnel traffic to websites in order to generate leads and sales for businesses. So what that means really from a tactical perspective is content marketing, search engine optimization, social media advertising, pay-per-click advertising, and marketing automation, you know, using tools and technology to help create efficiencies in the sales and marketing process. We work with B2Bs and B2Cs all across the country. So we are, you know, we're used to dealing with companies of all shapes and sizes. Generally, we're working with, you know, brands that are maybe $5 to $50 million a year in sales. And we've been doing it for quite a while. We've been in business 16 years now, actually. We've got about 25 employees. Again, we're based out of Richmond, Virginia. It's just interesting listening to everyone's story, though. You know, we work with so many different types of companies across the country, and we've had some clients who have been hit so hard by this, and then others that, you know, were a little bit or scratched by it, but they're, you know, kind of fighting through it. It really is kind of a luck of the draw, though, because, you know, as Sergio said, if your clients are in the airline and restaurant industry and hotel industry, it's just like you don't. It doesn't matter how good you are, that there's nothing you can do about that. We've had some clients in that kind of position, and their business just stopped on a dime, and then others who have had to kind of pivot and shift a little bit what they're offering. It's just been really interesting to see that everything's on the table: what you sell, how you sell it, how you think of your brand right now. There's so many ways to reinvent or kind of shift your business a little bit to try and, you know, weather this and then speed out of the curve. So I look forward to getting to that discussion a little bit more today.
I want to hear more of that. So before we go on, let's introduce Kurt. Kurt knows anything and everything about technology. He will disagree with me, but that's the bottom line about Kurt. So if you guys have any kind of technology-based communication questions, Kurt is the guy to ask. Kurt, can you introduce yourself?
Hello?
Yes, I hear you.
Got me? Okay. I've been, for the last 22 years, I've been helping companies make better use of technology mostly for their internal needs, but also for their product. Companies like Bakerpedia, for example. And I've been working with you for 7 years now.
7 years, yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, you're not
Wow.
tired of me yet, so that's good.
We love you
everything
guys.
from the cloud to hosting to, you know, security.
Tool selection.
All that
which
stuff.
tools are the best?
Yeah, right.
When something happens, what happened and how do we prevent that in the future? You know, a lot of these problems are people problems, but they often revolve around technology.
Right, and I want to offer.
It is.
Yeah, and I want to offer this piece of advice up because now the best time for bakers to pivot is into the digital area, and there's so much in the digital area that a lot of bakers don't know about. You know, like they don't know what's, you know, which host to choose. They don't know, you know, all that stuff. So if Scott, Cody, or Sergio has any kind of those kind of, you know, tech-based questions, you know, Kurt will be able to answer them. So I want to go back to what Chris talked about, right? Because I have this question for you, for both of you, Scott and Cody. Does any of your strategy include digital e-commerce? Because I feel like this is has the most potential in the market right now on what you guys can do. Let's go with Scott first.
Yeah, we've seen a huge surge in our e-commerce. It's you know, probably 5,000% increase over the same period last year. Well, I don't expect that apex to continue. We do anticipate that we'll have a lot of growth that will be sustained. You know, I think really this is Cody's area for our company, so I'll let him speak a little bit more on the detail and the things that we're doing to maintain that type of enthusiasm.
So Cody, tell us how successful you have been and what are you wanting more of?
Well, we always want more business, right? Yeah, so like Scott said, our e-commerce has increased dramatically, so much so that we're kind of running into some fulfillment issues with the software that we've been using and just the labor hours that we have available to us. But we're pushing through. It's been a great avenue, you know, with the whole with the COVID-19 kind of initiative that we undertook. We were able to capture a lot of consumer email addresses and turn them into, you know, regular fans and regular customers. So that's been very beneficial to us. And then we're kind of using our e-commerce platform as a way to distribute the R&D projects that we're undertaking as a management team and getting, you know, consumer feedback that way.
Nice. Chris, do you have any suggestions, or do you have any suggestions for Cody's strategy?
Well, it might be a little premature to make a suggestion quite yet, but I will say that I think it's great that I was actually looking at your site and some of the things that you're doing before. I think, you know, it's kind of the natural move, right, to go e-commerce right now. And, you know, people still need to eat. People still need these things. That's what's advantageous to you versus travel, right? There's just, you're just not going to travel right now. So there's not pent up demand from that. People still need to eat. So that's all, you're doing that. The one other thing that I would put out there, and something I picked up on looking at your social channels, you have some good content out there, of the product itself. You seem to be interacting. People seem to be really interested in the product and the brand and like all that. I think right now this is such an opportunity to build brand, not just to sell product. And I get we've got to sell product, right? We got to continue doing that. But if for some reason you can't sell product right now, or you're doing that and you're trying to find a way to mix it up, there's just so many interesting ways that we could be creating stronger connections with our customers and prospective customers right now. And I think in the baking space, there's so many people looking up how to make bread at home, right? You've seen the spike in people trying to do that. I know flour makers can't really even keep up with the demand. People are trying to do, so trying to make great bread at home. They don't know how. So bread baking is an art, as much as any other kind of, as cooking is. And as someone who does that kind of on the side just for fun, I know all the intricacies that go into it and how many ways there are to screw it up. So I think what kind of educational play could we have here as a brand, as bakers, to help people who are at home trying to do this on their own, people who are stuck at home with kids who can't go out and see their friends right now? Are there little videos we could create to say, here's a simple way to do this, or here's a nice little trick to make those cookies look extra, delicious? It's such a great time to build brand equity, I think. Yeah. And it's a way to kind of mix up the content that you're putting out there. And that in turn will, I think, pay massive dividends when people are ready to start buying more later down the road.
Yeah, I would add to that. We have an example. I won't mention the name, but a very large food kind of equipment appliance manufacturer we do some work for. They have tremendous volume of traffic to their website for things like recipes, right, and discussions around how to use the equipment to do certain things. And it's just created from an SEO perspective, it's created so much activity on their site that kind of lifts the whole site from a rankings perspective. So, to add on to that, it's pertinent information. They don't sell recipes. They don't cook for people, but, they sell appliances that do that help people do that. That was one thing. And then Cody, you mentioned something about, the e-commerce platform and fulfillment and so forth. Certainly, I think it's fantastic you're doing the R&D work. We looked at some studies that came out of the last recession from Bain Capital and Harvard Business Review, not Bain Capital, Bain Consulting and Harvard Business Review. And the companies that were most successful after the last recession were the ones who invested in marketing, even ramped it up, and R&D. So they didn't stick their heads in the sand. So I admire what you guys are doing. So it may be time. I was just looking at some of your technology. Maybe Kurt can help with this. To take a look at, does the e-commerce platform warrant an upgrade potentially to a more robust platform that you can interface a little bit better? That's one thing we're suggesting to folks. Yeah. And it looks like you may be using Hubspot. Is that true?
Yes, that's true. Okay.
So, how much of that platform are you leveraging to communicate with prospects and customers, both on the B2B and B2C side? And how frequently are you sending out material, emails?
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, we definitely like to do a little bit more with HubSpot. I know they have a lot of marketing automation tools and communication tools, and a live chat option for communicating with customers, during the order process. And on top of that, we'd also like to utilize our MailChimp subscription a little bit more with the influx of email addresses that we got from the COVID promotion. We'd really like to maximize on that. And I think Howard and Kurt, both of your suggestions, especially the educational content, I think we can kind of incorporate baking tips. We've got a lot of expertise here with 5 generations of experience. So that, you know, that's a natural kind of way to capitalize on the influx of traffic that we're getting.
Yeah, and tell your story too, Scott. You know, your 5 generational stories. You know, and that's a lot to do with content marketing and building the brand value, and you know, getting to people. I mean, stories sells. You know, I mean, not.
Right.
You know, that's how you build
No,
brands. Is you tell the stories. You know. And yeah, I would encourage you to do that and to look into maybe better e-commerce interfaces with Hubspot. You know, I'm not very sure with those areas. I'm pretty sure, you know, Chris might have a little bit more insight into that. But that interface is really important. I mean, you do all this marketing and then you can't move them along your funnel and close on them. So that whole issue of funnel marketing, email campaigns, you know, content marketing has to go to somewhere. It has to go to more sales for you. You know, so I think you know, to think a little bit more, bakers need to think a little bit more on how they market, and you have to market. It's like you don't have a choice. You have to market differently now. You know, you have to do your R&D. You have to tell people you are doing R&D. You know, that's the story. That's the brand, building the brand and building the trust. You know, so so I like what Chris and Howard suggested, and really a question to Chris: how do you build trust? Right? You want to build a brand, you want to build a following, but the reason why people would actually do business with you is because they trust you. So how would you build that trust if people don't know you very well?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I think, you know, in this case, when it comes to product, the trust is going to be in the product itself, right? Like, so we could have great marketing and great branding, but if the product doesn't deliver, that's where the trust is going to break, or that's where the trust is made. Is the bread, in this case, fulfilling the promise of the kind of the stories that we're telling and the quality of the product itself? So, you know, I'm not sure that it's necessarily trust that we're after at this stage. I think it's more of how do we create interest in the product. You know, you could look at bread and say it's kind of the ultimate commodity in food. If you go back over time, there was always bread, right? It was just bread and, you know, like it's pretty simple. But I think what sells these products is the story behind them, especially as somebody who hasn't had it before. It's the story behind them. And, you know, kind of you know, there's a lot of memory that's connected to taste as well. So, you know, that's what I would be focusing on. And I would be focusing on how can I deliver value outside of the product itself. That's where we go back to the educational piece. We've done a lot of that ourselves. People don't want to buy what we do at the rate that they did before because people were holding onto their cash. They weren't making those investments. That started to change in the last couple of weeks, thankfully, for everybody, for the whole world economy. I'm thankful for that. But what we were doing in the meantime is we were just giving. And we weren't focused on asking for anything in return. We're just give. And we know that if we could build that kind of brand equity, you mentioned trust. I'm not sure if it's trust necessarily, but it's just, you know, there's value that's been given and there's kind of a deficit on our end of value that's been given. That's going to come back to us later. So I'm in ultimate giving mode right now. And I know that that's what's going to hopefully come back to us later. I had a follow-up question though for Scott and Cody, and then I do want to address kind of Sergio's situation because his is maybe a little bit different or has some uniqueness to it. Yeah, with Scott and Cody, I'm curious because you said e-commerce is up about like 5,000% right now. Are you tracking or have you broken out how much of that is people who have ordered from you before versus people that are new to you?
You know what? I haven't really had time to dive into returning or new customers, but I have a strong inclination that a lot of the customers are new. So.
Yeah. Cody's been managing the actual fulfillment side, so he's got his hands full a little bit with that growth. I've been looking at some of the data that the processor provides to us, and we, like, you know, Cody estimated, our new customers are up considerably. But what is exciting for me to see is that the business is up, but we're seeing a lot of repeat customers as well. That tells me we're holding on to them. They're coming back. The other data that we've noticed is gender. We sell to about 80% women, female customers. So, how do we target them more and make content that is appealing to the demographic that's buying from us?
Yeah, and that's why. So that's all good information. That's such important stuff to know too, because the tools that we have at our disposal today to market allow us to kind of expand on these great audiences and customer audiences that we've created, right? So if females tend to buy more from you than males, right? And that you've got, 6,000 people who like your Facebook page, or 7,000 or something, like, you've got a decent following, right? We can promote, sorry, that's my camera. We can push ads and promoted content to that audience, and then friends of those people who are female in certain areas, people that we know are more likely to buy our product, right? But I think getting kind of a grasp on repeat customers, how often they buy, knowing what the time is between, because if I'm buying a 4-pack, how long does it take me to go through that 4-pack? When am I likely to reorder? And then, we can time email campaigns around that. If they bought a 2-pack, then, the promotion happens, 2 weeks after that, if we figure they go through a loaf of wheat or whatever it is. And then we can also do the same on social media, right? So we know here are all the people who follow us. We can advertise against them. We can advertise to people who are friends of them who are female. We could take the emails from Hubspot, put those into Facebook and Instagram, and say, show ads to people where the email matches what Facebook has. And then we can try and just get our repeat business up, and then start to expand outward from that based off of lookalike audiences, people who look like the people who typically buy our product. And you can start to expand outward and then see what that does to your new versus returning mix. But that's the power of social media advertising right now. That's why we're such proponents of it, and why it's such a good play on the B2C side.
I like how you pony up on that, the HubSpot and social media. That's awesome. That's a great.
It's symbiotic. Like, these things can share. If we can share data across the platforms, that's where we get 1 + 1 = 3.
Amazing,
right.
Amazing.
I would suggest just real quick to Cody, think about, should you be using MailChimp and HubSpot, or just move everything over to HubSpot, because you got a lot more power generally with that platform
over.
as well. And the other last piece on the trust piece, we've had a lot of success with our clients, making sure their reviews are very prominent, certainly on the site. I saw you've got your stars there really from the Facebook reviews, but Google is another place, obviously, that people do a lot of reviews. Putting that on there, and then do some case studies on the B2B side, not so much on the B2C probably, but on the B2B side, how you've helped XYZ organization really increase their retail sales because they have your product there. That type of thing would be beneficial as well.
Great suggestions, Howard. People don't understand how important Google reviews are, and those don't come naturally. You actually have to ask for them. You have to ask your clients for them. Right. A lot of the people that I do business with actually physically ask me and bug me for reviews, because once I put a review onto their business, it drives traffic 5-fold because of the 5-star reviews, right? So people do hound me for reviews, so who's your best customer out there, Scott? Hound them now. Ask them to post it on the Google. Yes,
well, earlier in the week, we sell on Walmart.com, and over the last 2 months, we've had 500 new customers, but only 1 review. So Cody and I were talking, how do we get more reviews?
You need to.
So and you guys have some software, right? You got HubSpot in place. You may have other automation tools. One of the ways you could do that is after every purchase, you can have that review email go out. One of the things that we've done for clients before is in the email, we'll ask them, what did you think? And we'll give them like the stars to click, but they're not actually reviewing it there. What happens is if they click the 4th or the 5th star, it kicks them over to Google to leave the review.
Nice.
If they leave a 1, 2, or a 3 star, it sends them somewhere else to send feedback to you.
Customer service.
Right, because you don't want to send
Yeah.
only the 5 out of 5 there. That actually, they don't like that. They want to see kind of a mixture of reviews. But like if it's a 1 out of 3 or 3 out of 5, I want to know that. I want to know what the issue is. But you love us? Go to the review page.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. We tell our customers we want your review, whether it's your experience, whether it's good or bad. If it's bad, it gives us an opportunity to make an improvement.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
You can also integrate the Google survey request into your checkout process. I've seen that with a lot of vendors.
That's true, and that's
so as you're checking out, you'll get a pop-up that says, "Do you want to review this vendor?"
Oh, okay.
I think that can integrate with HubSpot also.
That's on the website. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
On the site, correct, on the site. But I mean, back to something that I've heard everyone say, you're all giving things away. You're making a human connection. And making that human connection is a huge part of the trust that you were talking about earlier. And those things together, the quality of the product, the quality of the interaction, the human connection, which turns into trust, all of those things turn into more sales.
Yep.
We can't leave Sergio out of this.
We can't leave Sergio out. We're now going to focus everything on Sergio.
Obviously, it was wonderful just hearing everyone with their bit. But I think, it takes times of crisis to actually wake up and smell the roses, as it were. For us, we've got such a strong history here in Cape Town, and I think it's actually coming to the fore with us, exposing ourselves more and more in the communities now. That you really see the power of that name coming through. And I think with this whole crowdfunding platform and initiative that we're starting now, Need and Rise, with the data and email, data that we get out of that, it will serve as a great platform for us moving forward in order for us to grow into the e-marketing space, where we've probably been lacking. We've had literally just a stock standard website out there. We've now started going more into social media now, with us starting up an Instagram page very recently. We've obviously had a presence under our retail store on Facebook for some time. But like I said, I think it takes times of crisis to actually wake up and move into spaces that we haven't been before.
So I really love your strategy, and that's why I wanted to bring you on today. It was you completely went tangential to any other baker, what they would do. You went immediately to GoFundMe, boom, and then you're sending all your funnel activities down to your nonprofit idea. And then tell me, what are you doing differently from here to really get the sale? Or how are you going to convert all your GoFundMe activities into an actual sale to build that business, to build that brand?
Well, we're hoping through this promotional video and everything else linked to that we sort of reestablish ourselves as a prominent bakery in Cape Town. And with that goodwill that's been rekindled and rediscovered, to be able to target clients and make clients, potential clients of ours out there, more aware of us and more aware of what we do. And I think, for us right now, it's all about community. And I think a lot of big corporates are going to buy into that at some point. So, for us now, it's about, utilizing our goodwill that we've had all over the years, bring it to the forefront, and use that to target clients that the clients that are still going into, for example, the retailers who are still doing relatively okay. And that's really a market that we haven't really targeted up now, but we now are doing so out of necessity to keep running. So together with this initiative, this crowdfunding platform, and this initiative that we've started, we're hoping just to come to the forefront of those potential clients' minds in order for them to realize who we are, what we do, what we're about, and you know, a lot of our values are aligned with our potential clients, and we're hoping that through initiatives like this, they can see that.
Are you changing the kind of clients you have through this?
Well, not really. I mean, the little clients that we do have still taking on are there. We are now obviously shifting towards moving in towards supplying retailers, supermarket chains, and the like. So obviously that's not really a market we've dealt with up to now.
Yeah.
And like I said, we're hoping that with this initiative, it generates some sort of energy, and that we do target those right people, that we can actually start doing business with those potential clients.
Interesting. Interesting. Do you guys have any suggestions for Sergio in terms of how to target a different category of customers?
Yeah, Sergio, can you just clarify some of these new industries that you're going after? So you're saying, correct me if I'm wrong, you're saying that you're staying B2B, or was there some B2C in there too?
There is some B2C indirectly. So what I haven't mentioned is that we have started up some relationships with home delivery networks that have actually started targeting those clients. So there, we are moving over to the B2C, but through other people. Maybe some advice of us potentially target them directly from your side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I mean, you can always, even whether or not you sell through distributors or what have you, you can always still generate demand and generate brand awareness, right? You know, it's not uncommon to see, you know, you're promoting a product, your product, and then you say that this is where you can find it, this is where you can order it from. You know, so you can do that. You can get exposure to the product on social channels. If you're doing these test runs in these very, you know, kind of tight markets, you can run ads in a very small radius of a market, and you know, kind of promote the product and build it that way and say now available through this service. You know, use this. Maybe you could work out a deal with them where there's like a promo code associated with their first order of the product, or you know, something like that. So you can always try and generate demand, whether you're selling directly or selling indirectly. If you're trying to get more, you know, awareness on the B2B side, you know, that's where I would turn to other platforms. LinkedIn is such a fantastic platform for that, because we could target people based off of their job title and or their companies. So if you have a list of companies that you're trying to get in with, you can build awareness through those channels. You know, I'm not as familiar with the South African market and how many there are out there. So there may not be enough to do that like at large scale through advertising, but you can always start to kind of network and do, you know, prospecting and selling through LinkedIn, like start to get connected with people that way, produce the content, and kind of build awareness there, and have that be an in for that first sales call where you guys are talking about bringing your product, you know, into their store. So I think LinkedIn's such a great play on the B2B side for awareness and for building those connections. If you're trying to generate demand on the consumer side, you know, Facebook, Instagram, and again, I'm not sure which platforms are big in South Africa, so I'm sorry, you know, for not knowing that ahead of this. But
the main one. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, you can still, again, not with huge budgets either, you know, and you can just do these kind of little pockets, these 5-10 mile radiuses, to try and build a lot of awareness, and then see if you can start to drive demand through the product that way.
Great, thanks for that.
Great. So Kurt, do you have anything to add, or you know, what can these companies do in terms of technological assistance to help? What can they look into?
You know, I think I'm probably not as strong in web presence and branding as the rest of your guests, so I'm gonna say there's not a lot I can offer other than just the general advice that, you know, yes, I agree, I've seen all these things work. Referrals, you know, you're talking about using LinkedIn to get connections to people. You can also ask them, who do you know who needs our product? Who do you know who would benefit from our product? And obviously that works more at scale on the consumer side, but it also works for for the B2B connections.
Well,
I would also, yeah, I would add, Lynn, as
does
well.
anybody else have anything else to add? Because we are right at 40 minutes.
Okay.
Let's wrap this up. Any more last words or thoughts from anyone?
I was just going to add real quick for Sergio. Yeah, I think you guys should take a look at adding e-commerce to your site. What platform is the site on? It looks maybe WordPress. It looks like
WordPress, yeah.
perfect. So you might be able to just add in WooCommerce, which is their, if you don't have thousands of products, which I don't think you do. So that probably could work for you guys, adding that on. People want to buy online. You know, it's just a given now. Certainly that. Plus, I think when we're done.
Especially now.
Yeah, especially now. I took a look at your organic keyword rankings, both bakeries, both companies. I'll send you the sheets for those. There is some work there potentially you guys should take a look at in increasing your organic rankings on Google as well, depending on, you know, what you'd have to do some research on what people are actually searching for and try to rank for those. But there's some opportunity, it looks like, potentially there as well. And that would come from enhanced content, certainly on your sites, and some SEO work. Sure.
That's awesome. Thank you. Thanks, Howard.
Okay.
All right, everybody. Thank you for coming on today. We will see
Thanks
you
for having
next
us, Lynn.
Thought
Thank you.
Leadership Thursday.
Good luck.
Excellent.
Good luck, everybody out there.
Sweet day.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.